My name is Mike Balon. I'm commonly called Dr. B. I, along with Elisa Fixler, which you can see, at least on my screen, is the bottom left. Yes, raise your hand. There we go. Are part of the members of the Michigan State Fair Steering Committee. We've been responsible for the outdoor entertainment, both what we call the main stage and the cultural stage, since it began, since it moved, that is, to the Suburban Collection Showplace in Novi some years ago. While we will, in a moment, interview two of Michigan's most well-known, inspirational, and giving musicians and artists, Jill Jack and Nadir Omawali. Nadir has the outstanding locks that I've always been jealous of.
Me too.
I'm first going to give a little bit of background, if you will. Their involvement as mentors in the Superstar competition has been outstanding. All of our Superstars winners have been just thrilled with the experience. First of all, I should mention that the State Fair, the Michigan State Fair, is going virtual. This is a good thing because the majority, and certainly the largest state fairs in the country, are just canceled outright. We've decided to go virtual, and I think in particular for the most important part, that is the musical part of the State Fair, I think this is going to be an outstanding experience for all of us. It certainly has been a learning experience as well. And now, Elisa, tell us a little bit about yourself, but also how you became involved and how you developed the Superstar competition.
All right, so I am a band and choir teacher. I got into high school, and as my dad says, he was always jealous that I knew that I want to be a music teacher. That's just what I wanted to be. So I've done lots of different things, played in musicals and just all sorts of stuff. I kind of would go and do everything and then drive myself crazy. But, just loved music. And the way I got involved with the Superstar competition is kind of the same way I got involved with the fair. Someone was talking to my dad and for the fair itself. And my dad said, well, is anyone doing the music? And he's just like, I don't know, I don't think so. He said, my daughter can. And so that's how I got involved in the fair. And then in winter 2014, I was actually sick and missed this particular entertainment meeting where Blair said, I want a talent competition. And they started brainstorming, and again it was, hey, my daughter can do that. I wasn't there, but yeah, that's pretty much how it went. But to be fair, he did research and pulled things together, and then I was just like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, we're going to look at various competitions. And of course, America's Got Talent at the time was it's still a big thing, but I loved it at the time. So I looked at that, and then other smaller competitions around. But then being a teacher, I was just like, well, this has to be, really high quality and pushing people beyond their skills. So that was just kind of coming up with all these ideas. And Nancy Fairies was the one that came up with she's just like, well, here's your prize package. And she pulled in Nadir, and she pulled in Jill Jack. And all sorts of other things. And I said, okay, I have something to play with. So we came up with the kind of combined a bunch of rules, what teachers do all the time. We pull ideas from all sorts of ideas and kind of meld it into what we want it to be. And then we said, okay, came up with the application, watched all the videos, narrowed it down, said, no, we have to have a live audition. So we pulled that together. Tim Hoy at Steinway something in near the Suburban Collection offered his space. So that's where the first live auditions were. And yeah, it's just every year we've adapted and modified based on what we learned during live auditions, what we learned from our semifinalists, and then finalists. And we've just kind of morphed everything each year and just tweaked it and made it bigger and better every year. Did I answer the question?
You did. I want to add something that has been very exciting as I've seen it go on. And obviously, Jill and Nadir can comment more about it. This last year that we had in 2019 that we had the auditions, we noticed every year there have been more quality and higher quality talent coming. And this year there's some people who really have a name for themselves already. And we asked them, well, why did you apply? I mean, you're already a name, you're already doing so much. And their answer was, well, we chatted with some of our previous year's winners, and they were so impressed with what they had that we just realized we had to go, and it would be a benefit us, even though these are people who've come quite a way. So that was exciting.
Yep. So gotta say, they were not nationally recognized or pros because we want it to be, yes, that's one of the rules. So we did that. Music isn't their full-time job. So they were still considered not pros exactly, even though I'd consider them professionals.
Right. So that was very exciting, and we'll want to mention that a little bit as well.
Which made it harder each year to figure out who we were going to pick.
Very difficult. Yeah, very difficult.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
And now I just want to mention the process, the general process. Obviously, this year is different. I'm going to mention how we got to the Superstar Revue this year. But previously, there's an application. I'll just correct me, Elisa. There's an application that they go through.
Yep.
We have to. It was primarily you, but I think you pulled in some other people to listen to or watch their video or audio sound so that we knew them, because they also had to meet some standards of family entertainment, because we are the family entertainment, if you will. Then we had 70 or 80 applicants, something like that. Then we would bring 35 or 40 in for the
About
July.
35. 34 is the number we've ended up at.
July, and we were so fortunate to get Next Wave it's in Troy.
Next Wave Media Lab, Troy.
Media Lab, Troy.
I want to be advertised, but we say their name anyway. So.
That's right. All right. Well, and we so appreciate it. So we would have we'd have our sub panel of judges in the last number of years. Nadir has been there coaching right along. I think it's part of his DNA is to coach and mentor every step of the way. And they clearly improved from that as well. From that, there was a scoring system that, of course, Elisa, the teacher, came up with. And difficult though it certainly was, we came down with about 15 people. And then we also instituted a few weeks before an educational experience for them.
Workshop.
A workshop for them, and you can mention it briefly, that Nadir was at. And we really appreciate that. They got to be in a real studio to do a performance, and once again, it would have some feedback. And then from there, of course, there was the actual competition. And some of the dates and times would change, but there were 3 days. The last rendition was, I think it was 5 people on each of 3 different days. Or was it 2? And then there was...
So it's 2 days of semifinals, and we narrow it down to 5.
Right.
Is how we go from that. And I'm going to do another video on how exactly they can apply and what they would expect. So I'm going to do another.
I think one of the interesting things about this competition for anybody that wants to apply is some of the requirements that have evolved over time. For instance, in the beginning, this really was just a talent competition. And it really was just about, can you sing? And it really was a singing competition. And then our first year winner, Allison Albrecht, 14-year-old powerhouse singer, but also was a songwriter. And as the prize package included studio time at the time at Pearl Sound Studios in Canton, with producer Grammy-winning producer Chuck Alkazian as part of the prize package. We found that it was really important that the superstar should also be able to write songs. because original songs were going to be the product on the on this EP that they would create. So I think that started being added as one of the requirements, is that you had to come in with how many original songs you had to at least prove that
Yeah,
you
there
had.
was the first year. It actually was. It just wasn't stated well, because we
Mhm.
did in the competition. Actually, I already had that built in. That's
Mhm.
why I have the one required song that they all have to do,
Right.
but they have to make it their own. Because if you can make somebody else's song your own, then you've got the creativity. We're not worried about that. But that was part of the problem we discovered was, not everybody had original songs. They had maybe one. But yeah,
Mhm.
we really liked that original factor that we added in there. And then, yeah, we started changing the rules for the live audition, saying, okay, you need to come with a portfolio so that we know that you
Yeah.
have more than one song ready to go.
Mhm.
Yep.
And it became more important in the point system as well, where if you had original songs, you got like
Bonus
half
points.
point. Yeah, you got bonus points. Not a lot of bonus points, but a little bit of bonus points.
Yeah, I
And
mean, and they're so close. The points ended up being so close that we're like, look, even they're small, those bonus points are important.
they're important. Yeah, because some of the finals have been decided by half point difference, like between the
Yeah.
winner, first runner up, and 1 or 2 points. So it really gets to be important, because once you get to the 5 finalists in that last day, the competition is really stiff. These are serious people. These are really good artists, bands and solo artists that come in, and you get like in 2018, you get a young duo like the Keynote Sisters come out and beat some really good seasoned bands, because they had that little extra edge, of just those couple of points, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah. We're going to go to the mentors, your mentorship next. I had mentioned in our pre-talk a couple of quotes that I particularly liked about mentors, and I think represents both what you provide and what is needed in mentorship. Oprah Winfrey said something that I like. A mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. And I know there's some of these are very young, some are a little more seasoned, but everyone has that question inside them. Am I really a writer? Can I really sing? And the inspiration that you provide in your own history yourself, I think, is very, very encouraging. The one I like a little bit more from John Crosby is, mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. John Crosby. I love that from the perspective of the mentee. I guess that's what you call it. Because they need to pick your brain. If they know the right questions to ask, sometimes you have to help them with those questions, I realize. Someone who's going to listen to their story and what they're troubled with, and then a push in the right direction. And I suspect some need a little more push than others, but you can tell me about that. And now I'm going to go, because my mama taught me, I was a farm boy, that ladies go first. So Jill Jack, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. She has a fabulous website, and this is when I would go there. I've been listening to all your videos all the last couple of weeks. You're online from your website. The music is awesome. It's very crisp and clear. It's like I'm there almost. I really encouraged it. I
Thank
was
you.
encouraged. So tell me about Jill
You
Jack.
can be my new PR person.
Tell me about Jill Jack. Anything you want. I know you have a daughter. You don't have to go there, but I love the family touch as well, because I love family. And how you got to where you are professionally. You've contributed to our community, to our state in so many ways. No one hardly knows about the Detroit Children's Choir and what all the benefit you've done there and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Elisa was part of that at one point as well. Thank you for all that you have done. So I'll stop. Jill, tell me about yourself.
Oh, well, thank you for all that. You brought tears to my eyes. I miss the children's choir so much. with the COVID, but no, I'm a singer-songwriter. Obviously, I have, the normal PR answers are, 12 albums. I've been doing this for a really long time. As far as my daughter is concerned, yes, she is used to just, having a mom who's in music. We joked about it the other day about children and how they're resilient, and somebody said something about my daughter and what was it like? Oh, because they were talking about where they were going to take their kids. And I said, I took her on the road with me. We just threw her so picture this, all sound gear behind her, and then a big Barbie house to the right. And so, because she was used to. So by the time she was 17, I asked her on a Friday night, hey, what are you doing? You want to sing a duet with me at DTE this Friday? She's like, okay. I mean, most people would be like, oh my God, you're kidding. She walks out on stage like it's like her living room, like people don't get it. But I'm sure she probably needs some sort of therapy. But anyway, one thing I really, I was so blessed the day that Nancy Ferris reached out to me to ask me to do this. I feel that one of the most important things we can do in our industry is help others. I'll speak for myself, so much of what I have to do in my career is promote myself and to talk about myself and to do all these things to make myself more successful. And I have a tendency to get bored with that. And so I love to help because it restores my energy. It resurges the passion I have for music. So when I was asked to do this, I was like, yes, because I see myself in these artists at the beginning. And I remember that first time going into the studio, like being totally nervous, and not necessarily just nervous, kind of like in awe, but also not knowing what to do or what to say or how to say it, and just kind of feeling intimidated. And so being a coach, I feel like, one, you work on their confidence. You tell them, like so many of my Dream Big clients that I opened a company called Dream Big to help artists like this, is they have this inner voice that says, I'm not good enough. How dare I do this? And my answer to them is, for better or for worse, you were given this talent and it's your responsibility to use it. So if you can look at it from kind of an outside perspective going in, do that, because so many people, the audience, would love to have that opportunity to go into a studio and sing or be on stage and entertain. And so when you tell them that, they kind of come out of themselves a little bit and go, oh, I never looked at it that way. So that's where that quote comes in very well, both of your quotes. I give them hope. I help them kind of get out of their own way. Because up here, creative people, my husband always says, we watched that Queen movie, and he whispered at the very end, you guys, love you artists, but he goes, you all got a little bit of a loose screw in there. And I said, yes, and I love that, because I think that's what makes us so able to get out and do what we do. So I love being a part of the State Fair, and more, originally the package was that you would get 5 sessions from me, 5 1-hour sessions, but then I just wanted to get more involved. And so Lisa was so nice to let me come to the,
Of course.
what were they? The what?
Of course.
Oh, because just to encourage the process when it was broken down to like the 15 or 16 artists, and just be able to encourage them one way or the other. There's always something positive you can tell them. I don't believe in negativity. I don't think it inspires, but I do think that you can say, use this. This is your individual thing, and that's your power. That's where you get your artists. We're all individuals, and that's what keeps it interesting. So I really appreciate being a part of it. And Nadir and I have this weird, relaxed, like it's just easy to work with Nadir. And I've enjoyed that partnership so much. We're both passionate about what we do. We both work hard, and we just get her done,
So, certainly have.
It's great seeing them at that workshop when you guys are just kind of going back and forth and seeing these musicians who are amazing already. I mean, I work with, school age kids, and, every once in a while there'll be that wow student, and all the semifinalists are wow students. And just to see them going and see them, and they're taking notes as you're talking, and they're just super engaged and like really excited to be at that workshop. And it's just
Yeah.
fabulous.
It is a spectacular component of what they have. The most spectacular, of course, is YouTube. Now, I mentioned before we started that I was wearing this so you couldn't see my bald hair, only because Nadir's locks I'm in love with and always have been, and I wish I couldn't even come close, which is my transition to you, Nadir. Tell us about yourself. You've got 2 kids that everybody loves, by the way.
The Omo Wonder Twins.
Yes, that's
You're going to
right.
be president.
That's
Both.
right. That's right. That's right. I think that's what one of them said. They wanted to be president.
Well,
And
They both do.
That Maya.
And I think, well, we talked about their campaign speeches, so yeah, it's pretty.
Oh, that's
28
great.
Now, they'll be eligible, and we'll see what happens. So,
Dr. B, we can edit so that we can give you dreads during this,
Okay.
this interview.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Go for it. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I love
You
it.
steal some of my hair. So
Yeah,
you'll
there
just
we
put it
go.
up there.
So, Nadir, tell us about your inspiration, where you got started, about your career, and then ultimately, of course, the mentorship. So tell us about your music. And again, yes, the latest one, I think it's the latest one that you had, it's in a large venue, and you are rocking, you always rock and roll. You are rocking and rolling on that stage. I just loved it. Dancing around, doing, you have the best. Take the shades off. You have the best voice. You're an announcer. You can get a crowd moving. You both can, of course. So enough of that. Tell me.
Well, I'm also a singer-songwriter and a producer, engineer, and coach. And I definitely enjoy the coaching aspect of the mentorship here with the State Fair Superstar. And also when my good friend and my coach, Nancy Schoenheid Ferris, called and said, hey, want to bring you in as the songwriting coach. That was a really cool opportunity. And it ended up being a little bit more. And I ended up being, I guess, in addition to coaching songwriting and being the what in the music industry would be called the A&R person, which is the artist and repertoire person. So if you're not as much of a songwriter, we just find you songs. So my job is not only to coach you in songwriting, but also to help the winner to find the right songs that we will use for the EP, and also kind of end up being the project coordinator and helping to make sure that the record gets done. That's ultimately part of the process, and that is fantastic most of the time.
Pull those reins in.
As any project is.
It's an adventure. It's an adventure. What's really cool about the Superstar competition is that all of our winners have been completely different musical styles, completely different as individuals and groups, completely different human beings. And each year it's been a really rewarding process, but it's different every year. And I think that's one of the reasons that it's been such a really fun experience to be involved. And like I said, I do some coaching with the auditions at the live auditions. I'll help plug in guitars, and then also we'll give a little coaching as people finish their performances. And then we do the workshop, which is great and gives us an opportunity to add some further educational component for all of the semifinalists before they go on to perform at the fair. And so it's been a really fantastic experience working in this in this program.
Okay. But I'd like to know what you consider your biggest challenges and maybe your biggest victory as a mentor. And Jill, we're going to return to you because that's what my mom taught me.
Okay. I, for sure they were all different. And that's what I loved about it, because you didn't know where they were at in their career when you got them, pretty much. I mean, you had an idea, but to really, I call it the Oprah hour, the first session, because that's usually when I get everybody to kind of spill their beans and we get deep. I want to get the truth out of them. I want to know where they are in their head, where they think they are. So there's a difference sometimes where they think they are and where they need to be, kind of things. So you ease them into that. But I think, what comes to mind, and it's not, there's a couple different things, like Reedy Toy, which I don't think she'll have a problem telling you, and she said it in her interviews as well, is that she didn't know a lot of people were telling her what she should do and what she, but she wasn't happy with where she was at. She knew she wanted to do something, but she didn't know which angle to go at. And we all, I think, at some point in your art, it's like, I've had people tell me to go into country, to folk, to rock, to pop. And when people do that, your head swims and you really can't come into your own. Now, a lot of these artists are young, and so they don't have the gift of maturity and knowing that to find themselves enough, to just go with that. So I think that was really challenging to see her behavior. I knew it was something, but I couldn't pinpoint it. And now to see her evolve, her interview, you'll see, you're just like, yeah, she found it. But another one that I really, really enjoyed is, but it was kind of like, whoa, was the Keynote Sisters. They were beautifully naive, but to the point that I just wanted to protect them from the industry per se. But one of the main objectives I had to drill in their head is their worth. I coach a lot about that. Artists, and myself included, I battle with it all the time. We just want to play. We want to get out there. We want to do stuff. Well, there's a lot of people in the industry that will take advantage of that. And then they see these two young girls like, okay, we'll play. Oh, you'll feed us? Great. No, you're going out there. You've got gear. You're going to play for 3 hours in the heat. No way are you going to just go for a sandwich. So we had to talk about that. And also the art of learning to speak up about your work. So in other words, if you're in a studio with these incredible producers, they have no problem with you saying, I really hear it going this way. Don't sit back and be like, I really don't like this, but I don't want to say anything because these guys are pros. This is where you learn you don't have to kick, scream, cry, but you can literally just say, my voice doesn't sound right on this. I'm not comfortable with this. My speech to them is, you're going to work with these people for a year. After that, you have to shop this. You have to market this. You have to live with this. So if you're not happy with it, and if you don't believe in it, nothing's worse than handing a CD over and saying, I don't really like this, but I'm glad you're buying it. That's not the way to work it. So it's just giving that kind of thing. Carly Bentz, the difference between like Allison and Carly, totally different. Allison was like this 14-year-old, like deer, like deer in headlights. And Carly had more of a, I know what I want kind of vibe. They both came out with very good product. They both were very happy with their products, but it's just different to see these. And as mentors, you have to allow yourself to stay open and move within their journey, and respect each personality. The Gasoline Gypsies is one that, or Miss Carmen. Oh, she, like, the first time she came into my office, I felt like the roof came off. She had so much energy. She talked for the first 20 minutes without taking a breath. But I knew she didn't need a ton of direction from me, but we talked about a lot of different things, like, okay, I'm going to put the release out tomorrow. I'm like, no, you're not. You have to market it. Like, let's not just jump in and put it out there. So there's just different kinds of things with each personality that I thoroughly enjoyed the ride with each one, but you go with it for sure, you know.
Great. Awesome. And I've known these people not the way you do, obviously, just enjoyed their music, and more through Elisa because she has more contact with them in as a musician. But now, Nadir, what were some of your challenges and victories or excitement? What stories do you have, if you can share any?
Well, I think that first off, I would say that our goal in this competition as mentors is to work with each artist from where they are and to take them to the next level, whatever that next level might be. So sometimes we've had artists that come in and they're not songwriters, and they maybe have a couple of songs, and we've got to create a 3 to 5 song EP. Then we've got to figure out, okay, well, where these songs have to come from somewhere. You've got to write them, or we've got to find them, or what are we going to do? And so it's always different. It's always a challenge because you have to meet this person where they are. So you get the difference between someone like Reedy or the Keynote Sisters, who don't really have a very much original material at all, because they're young writers, because they've been performing, more seasoned performers, but have not been writing as much, versus someone like Miss Carmen, who not only came in as a seasoned performer, but already had 6 or 7 songs in the can, that she'd already been working on with a producer. And all we had to do was take that and say, okay, well, how do we make it better? And so I think that's something that's really great. The Gasoline Gypsies come in as a well-oiled machine, and we just showed them how to put some more oil on, and showed them how to crank the gears a little more. And I think that's been, a great part of the process. I think that the challenges that the biggest challenges, I think, again, I would agree with my mentor Jill, that Reedy's year was a challenge, because Reedy knew that she knew she was a fantastic performer. She knew that she could sing. She wasn't really sure, and hadn't really been asked, what kind of artist do you want to be? What do you want to do as an original artist? What do you want to do besides sing? Where are you going to find the material that you're going to sing? How are you going to present yourself on stage? How are you going to present yourself as a business person? All of those things. And she came in with this raw talent, and just, you watch her audition, her live audition at the fair is legendary. She just destroyed the stage, just really did a great job. And then she came in the studio and she's like,
yeah,
and so that was a challenge. And she would admit that, and she does admit that in her interview, that we really had to work to develop that. The other big challenge, I will say, was my fault, and that was with Carly Benz. And we did talk about, I've spoken to Carly about this, and our big issue with Carly, and one thing that we learned, Carly was our second year winner, and one thing that we learned with Carly was with Allison, who was our winner the first year. I met Allison and her parents at a coffee shop. We had a nice conversation just about the music business, and introduced them to the ideas of performing rights organizations and songwriting and the copyrights and all that kind of stuff. And we had just a nice family conversation, and then went and got down to business to start working on her songs. With Carly, our first meeting was at Chuck Alkazian's studio, Pearl Sound Studios. And although I felt it at the meeting that it was a bad idea, I went ahead and said, okay, and we critiqued her songs at the first meeting. And that was a mistake, because if you're an artist, you have to trust that a producer and a coach and a mentor has your best interests at heart and wants you to be better and wants to help make your songs better. And so that was a mistake that we made, because Carly was 16 years old. So yes, she was writing good material, and I told her, and I reiterated again, her song 3 a.m. was the best song that we heard at auditions in 2015. I mean, that was the best song that I heard. And I didn't know if she was going to win, but I knew that was the best song. And we immediately went in this first meeting and we start picking her songs apart. That's what we do. We're trying to make the songs better. But when you're an artist, that song is your baby. And we don't learn, Jill, until later that we have to let go a little bit.
And we're still learning.
Yeah, we're still learning, right? That in order for our babies to grow up, sometimes our babies need to comb their hair and brush their teeth, so that they can present themselves a little bit better to the world. They can't just, roll out of bed and go straight into the world. We have to clean them up a little bit. But as artists, we believe that our babies are perfect because they came out that way, and it's not exactly the case. And so I think that in that first meeting, it was a difficult experience for her to have her songs critiqued right off the bat, and I take that as my mistake. And since then, we meet for coffee. We meet even better if we meet over food. And with the Gasoline Gypsies, we went to brunch after our Fox 2. They performed on Fox 2. From there, we went to brunch, and everybody has omelets and coffee, and we have a great time and talk and become human beings. And that was
the relationship.
That was something a mistake that we made, and I think it changed Carly's experience a little bit. I think that she would have had more fun. I think she enjoyed it, and she said that she did learn from the process. I think she would have had more fun if we had been human beings first and mentors or critics second. And I think that was a challenge that I learned, and it was a mistake that I made that we fixed.
Well, and you did, and that was good because you did learn from it, and Carly learned from it too. And she had me on the other end because, as a coach too, she would come and she was sad and stuff, but I was like, this is part of the business. So unfortunately, you got it like right off the bat, but this is part of what we experience. It doesn't mean it's always that intense, but I think Nadir, you guys obviously talked about it, but I think it still made her. The lesson she took from it is that she had more confidence to say, this is what I want. And so I think that in all experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, you can still learn. And she was open enough to learn from that in a positive way. And so, it's not like you guys were horrific, it was all good. But by the way, I need you to look at some lyrics later. So.
Oh, by the way. 2019 winner, and tell us about that, what's going on with the songwriting, etc. I think things are wrapped up, and I think we have a CD, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, things are going
maybe
a little bit different. We did make some changes after the 2018 year. And we, for the first 5 years, Chuck Alkazian was our mentor partner as a producer, and we worked with Chuck to produce the first EPs. And one thing that we tried that was a little bit different this year was that we selected the producer based on who the winner was. And so for Miss Carmen's record, we chose a fantastic Grammy-nominated producer and arranger, a gentleman named Maurice Hurd, who goes by the name Piranha Head. And Piranha Head is a character, but is a fantastic, incredible musician, former member of Parliament Funkadelic, incredible guitar player, string arranger who has studied with Paul Reiser, who wrote all of the fantastic Motown orchestrations and Motown arrangements. And so Piranha Head himself has been nominated for Grammys for his string arrangements. And I paired Piranha Head with Miss Carmen, who created an album. And when she told me that the name that she wanted for her EP was Soul Symphony, I said, I know the producer for you. As Piranha Head even has a group himself. His group is called Soulchestra, and it's a soul music orchestra, and he creates these incredible arrangements and has some fantastic music, house music DJ, and I mean the guy is just ridiculous. So in putting them together, we came out with a really fantastic record that we recorded mostly at Rust Belt Studios. Carmen also, as I said earlier, came in with a producer that she's been working with, a gentleman named Mr. Melodic, and they already had some songs that they were working on that we just looked at and said, oh, what can we do to just help polish these up? And so Carmen is actually in the final stages of putting together this 8-song masterpiece record. I think this record is fantastic. And COVID-19 happens right before the last mixing session. And so it has delayed the process. The album is now mixed. The album is in the mastering stages as we speak. And if we're lucky, we can get it really close to right now, this second when this airs, having it going. But it's highly likely that it may be like a week or two after. So we're really close.
It'll be worth the wait, because
it's definitely worth the wait. The music is.
I mean, I went into the studio and Nadir invited me in to take a listen, and I didn't know what to expect. I knew Carmen's sound and I knew the powerhouse that she is, but bringing in Piranha Head was just a genius move on Nadir's part, because his arrangements were so incredible, and they all seemed to work so well with each other. And then they brought in powerhouse musicians from Detroit, like the top dogs, to play on this. You know, I was like drooling with jealousy. And this record, and this is not to say anything about the past records that have been put out, but I think with any project you work on, you definitely want to get better and better. You want to improve, you want to learn. And with each artist, you hope that you can bring it to the next level. And I believe that this record, I mean, I told Miss Carmen, and she's Miss, manifestation anyway, this is going to be a Grammy Award winning record. I just have this weird feeling that this is it's just going to be that big, and it's that good. So kudos to you guys for that.
I thought we would move next to the Superstar Revue, and Elise, I'll ask you sort of how this came apart. I had almost close to nothing to do with it, so I'll have you start and talk about how this came about in the conversations you had.
Well, this came about because of COVID-19, and we're just like, are we going to have a fair? We don't know. It's like every 2 weeks, it's like 2 months has passed, and how are we supposed to plan that far ahead? And we were right, there's not going to be a live fair. There will be a virtual fair. So Nadir and I were chatting and discussing, well, can we do a virtual competition? How would that work? And then as it went, I was just kind of like, why don't we just make it easier on ourselves and reach out to the, the superstar winners and say, hey, let's see where you are, what's been going on. And just in general, the process. I'm a very process person, music teacher, and I'm just like, okay, I love watching the process. Superstar is kind of like my reboot at the end of every school year. I'm just like, oh, now I get to go play with some really crazy, advanced, wonderful musicians and just watch that process and pick somebody out with help of other judges to send off to Nadir and Jill. But yeah, we're just like, well, why don't we just do this? Other TV shows do that. They do, they're like flashback. This is where we were, and this is where they are now. And we never really had a good, we've always wanted to get some really good advertising or do some kind of commercial or something and just record this down for historical purposes, just because I like watching the process and everything. And so Nadir and I were talking, and by the end of that conversation, we're just like, oh, okay, this could, this will be good. Let's do this. And so we went and we sold it to the rest of the subcommittee. And I don't know, Nadir, what do you think?
So the Superstar Revue, and when we went and asked all the superstars, they're like, of course, we love the state fair. We want to be involved. And we recorded interviews or conversations that Jill and I had with each of the superstars, and they're performing live stream. And I think that's going to be fantastic. We can't have we can't be there to get the rides and have the stage and funnel cakes and cotton candy, but
Elephant ears.
Elephant ears. But we do get an opportunity to see these fantastic performers, and we get to see how they've grown over the years as well, and to have the conversations with them about what the experience was like, and to just catch up and see where they are now and what they've been doing. They're all doing very well, doing fantastic things with their lives. Some of them still performing music, some of them not still performing music, but all of them still just have grown, and they do all attribute part of that growth to the Michigan State Fair Superstar competition. So
okay. Jill, anything to add to that?
It was just a joy to, visit with them, for one. It is like, I'm a parent and I have an adult child, and just to kind of, I'm so emotional, but just to see, like Nadir said, their growth and their maturity. And it's a joy to know. I think if you can do anything in this lifetime is to do something positive for someone else, and to know that we attributed a positive experience, all of us, gave this opportunity to them, and then they took it and they ran with it, whether they pursued it with music, whatever they did, they took the experience, and it was a part of a lifetime thing that did change their journey. And I just love to see people grow, and they have their wings and off they go. And like Elisa said, to be able to be a part of that, I think is a blessing for all of us. And every interview was great. Like every single interview was great. The Gypsies, of course, will take you on that journey with them, because it's, the guys, and you feel like you're in the band, and it's really cool. But just to see everyone, it's really fun to hear what their mindset was and what it is now. And I'm really, really happy that we did this. I mean, COVID has brought a lot of horrible things, but you do what you do. Take advantage of kind of a bad thing and turn it into something positive. This review was definitely a positive, and I think it'll be positive for the future for the state fair.
How, excuse me, how often do you get to go? You're so busy. It's the next year. It's the next superstar. Go, 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 go. And this year, the blessing of COVID is we have an opportunity to get the high view. Where have we been? Where are we now? And where do we want to go? I think as mentors, you're maybe you're the best in the business. You've done this for a number of years. You've learned things. As far as the moving forward, anything that you've learned overall, maybe make a change, a suggestion. And at this point, maybe maybe you're not quite there yet, but any suggestions for where we're going to go next year if there's an actual
Give me
competition?
more. We change every year.
Yeah,
Come
we
on.
change every year.
Yeah. Sure. Well, one thing that keeps becoming a recurring theme that we haven't quite figured out how to address in the audition process is that we largely have a live audition process, and then we bring people into the studio after they win. And something that we haven't figured out how to do because of just the nature of our contest is that we're taking these people who are great live performers and kind of tossing them into a professional recording situation. And different people handle that in different ways. And we always work with it, and we make it happen. What we don't have and haven't quite figured out how to do, and I don't know if we'll figure it out between now and July or not, is how to add some sort of recording component to the audition process.
I'm liking this.
And I don't know.
Explain more.
well, I mean, I'm just speaking off my head here. The Motown Accelerator program, which is fantastic. Their contest is all recording. They hardly ever even think about the performance aspect of it. And they put you in the studio, and they put you in the studio early, and they put people together and see how they work as co-writers and all that kind of thing. I don't know if we have the infrastructure to do that. That's something I would like to see us consider for next time, because life is changing and live music is at the moment is kind of in flux. And so, excuse me, the live streaming is becoming a more important thing. Recording is going to become a different aspect of things. And one of the things that I think is fantastic, for instance, is our first superstar, Allison Albrecht, has taken the opportunity of COVID-19 and being in quarantine with her younger brother, who happens to be studying engineering and production, and they recorded a single that was just released.
They built a studio in their home. Their father purchased all this stuff, and they literally worked together, and she's so excited. But the good thing is they took everything that they learned, she learned from Nadir and Chuck and the experience, and then built this studio. And Nadir, I'm loving what you're saying. Let's create more.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's forced Miss Carmen during quarantine. She opened up the GarageBand that was on her computer the whole time, on her Mac the whole time, and started recording songs. And she recorded an EP that she's going to release called Quarantine Cuts. And the Gasoline Gypsies are always either in the studio or on the road. It's like, well, now we're not on the road, and so they recorded a bunch of live streams. All of those guys now got audio interfaces and microphones so that they can record at their homes. So they're working together they've worked together and released a bunch of live streams. And so this is going to be more of the music business as we move forward, and what we do as the Michigan State Fair Superstar Competition is that we learn from our experiences every year. And so I think at some point we've got to figure out a way, and I don't know what it is, to get people in, or to add maybe it's part of the workshop, maybe it's a second workshop, although there's not much time between July and September. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there.
I think it's a good idea.
That comes up every year that we haven't figured out yet.
I think it's a great idea in the sense because, for one, I'm a live artist. I live on being a live artist. I thrive on it. technology to me is like, eh. And Nadir and I have this conversation all the time. Don't put me in an editing situation. I will, like, all that insomnia goes away. I go right to sleep. But in getting into a studio was never really fun for me. And even now, I don't necessarily appreciate it in the way probably that I should or learn how to. But I think when we have these
12
artists,
albums later, excuse me.
12 albums later, but yeah, I still could say there's very few times in that, and my band's gonna be like, what? But it was such a like pressure to get in, get it done, you know, that kind of thing. So I think, and I'm, you know, even being the first time in front of a mic with a headset, I mean, you've got some artists that have already done that. But Nadir, I think this is a good idea to add on to the program. And Elise is probably like, time, how are we going to do this? But to get them comfortable so that by the time, even if, you know, you have, say, 10 artists that you get to do this with, or 5 artists, I don't know how you would do it, but you can then look at them and say, okay, this one's really comfortable in the studio. This one isn't. This is what we'd have to do work-wise, so that that's not part of the process once they've already won and you're like, okay, they don't know anything about the studio, you know. So and then that comes in with coaching too. Like, you know, one of us can stand next to them when they're in front of a microphone. I brought a 67-year-old woman, one of my clients, who'd never sung in a studio. We walked through the process, showed her how to stand in front of a microphone, what it felt like to be in the studio, what it looked like to have an engineer who looked like he was going to fall asleep while you were singing. But no, I'm kidding. But, you know, those kind of things that I think that's a great idea. And what an amazing part of the package could be offered for the experience, even if they don't win.
This year was challenging because we were fortunate to have a private donor who has guaranteed the money that is required just to minimally accomplish what's going on. Yes, and so that's nice. Thank God for that person. Having said that, do you have any suggestions, thoughts about bringing in more money, making supporting this in a better way?
I think that you will always get more sponsorship, and you could always have more potential to get money if you put the money into the marketing as well. You know, it needs more marketing. There were some things that were missed and some, you know, moving parts that, you know, happen with any organization. And, but some of the things that are kind of like an afterthought. Well, maybe if we promoted this, we might have had more attendance, or maybe if we would have done this, we could have got a bigger sponsor. So I think that if I can say my two cents worth, is that I believe in this package itself is going to be amazing, so that people can really feel the grassroots of it, want to be a part of it, say that they could, I mean, whether it just be, you know, regular donations from regular people, you know, obviously a lot of regular people, but then also have some bigger organizations that support the idea of the arts, that don't want to see the arts go away. I mean, the arts are always the first thing that's pulled. It's just, you know, we need to keep that in people's faces. And the only way you can do it is by marketing, strategic marketing. And so, you know, obviously quality's there. We've got the quality. We've got the program figured out, and now we're, you know, talking about even making it better. So in order to do that, but we need a marketing system put in place that is first and foremost to get it out there, so that more people can be like, oh, that's what that's about. Not like after it happens, it goes, oh, that was cool, I wish I would have attended it, you know?
Right.
Hey, so any marketing people out there that want to participate?
That's right. Yes.
Well,
reach out.
I would bring up a name that has not been mentioned yet in this interview, and that is Steve Masters, who was the executive director of the fair, who we lost earlier this year. We miss Steve very much, and Steve was really a visionary behind this idea that if you look at Michigan's economy and you look at the things that the state of Michigan is known for, we talk about cars, of course, we talk about agriculture, we talk about technology, and we talk about music.
Okay.
And
Yep.
I think that the state fair has always done a really good job of celebrating the agriculture. We've added now with Dodge Ram as a sponsor, we've been celebrating the automotive. And I think that now is the time, and the State Fair Superstar is a great vehicle to celebrate the rich legacy of Michigan music. And this is something that we also do with the Michigan Mega Jam, is that we celebrate the history of the fantastic Michigan music from every single genre. And we have these superstars who come in from all of these different genres and different walks of life and different people, different socioeconomic status. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has an opportunity to come in and win. And what I believe is great about the Michigan State Fair Superstar competition is that it's not just a talent contest, which was the original idea. This is a talent incubator, and it is a small business incubator, and you get to work with an expert like Jill Jack and learn how to market your small business, and you get to work with Grammy nominated and Grammy winning producers like Chuck Alkazian and Piranha Head, and you get to learn how to develop your craft and to improve your product, and you get to work with Cal and Whitney Stone on how to position yourself in booking so that you can earn more money. And there's, it's a talent incubator. That's really what this is. And so we have to go out and position ourselves in that way. And this is something that Steve was beginning to do in his search for more partnership. And we've always had a great partnership with Pepsi, who has been there and really helped us, and we really appreciate Pepsi. But a little more money would definitely help us go a lot further.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, this is
sure
we
would.
always go, Steve, this is what we want to do. And Steve would say, okay, sounds like a good idea. And he'd go off and
Just like throw him a bone and go get it.
He's irreplaceable.
Yeah, he's irreplaceable.
His passion and his perseverance is and his humor, obviously, but
he's what kept us going in the start. We're just like, you want what?
Yeah.
Okay. He's like, yeah, sure, we can do this.
Yeah.
Go for it.
He was a visionary.
He was a visionary.
He was an incubator for all sorts of ideas.
Yeah. Oh, you bet.
We
and
bring
you
him
saw
ideas
it happening right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to eat popcorn and watch his mind work.
Yes. No, he'd be like,
we knew that he had our back. We knew that if something wasn't working, he was going to find a way to change it. In particular, it's the location of the stages. Every year it was different every single year. Where's the stage?
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. We'll let you know a few days before the fair where the stages are going to be. But he was always supportive, and he let us do our thing. During the fair, he says, what I like most, and I guess it has to do with Elisa and in our team, is I know that you're going to take care of it. And if you're taking care of it, I don't need to know about it. And I really appreciate it. He had some confidence. He had some confidence. Yep, just stop by periodically. And if there was an issue. So he's well missed. And I always enjoyed, I'm sorry, Dr. B, I always enjoyed Steve being one of the judges at the live auditions. I thought that was just always, it was just fun to, and to look at his judging process, like, what did you
Well, that was the idea behind the judges, have somebody from a bunch of different fields that fit into music.
And that was kind of the thing, was like Steve would be the one that's like, hey, we've got people like Terry Coggenhop over here, who is a professional talent scout and talent buyer that can say, you know, this person has talent and this person is fantastic. And I'm like, hey, you know, what's the best thing for the fair? And is this somebody that I can put up here to be, you know, we always said State Fair Superstar is almost like the Miss America for State Fair.
Right.
Like, is this somebody that we can put, you know, in front of the State Fair brand that can sell the idea of this family friendly, you know, you're representing the state of Michigan, and you're representing the all of the industry and all of us, and you know that was important to him, and his judging process was really strange because
Just like,
now I've come to the end of my questions, except that there are 26 more, which I won't go through.
Good,
But I will
gotta
give
good
you,
at questions.
yeah. So let me go, ladies first. If there's any last comments, Elisa, any last comments that you have for us?
I will later on come up with a video to walk people through the process, because I know they don't always like to read things, even though I make very detailed instructions. But I'm a teacher, I'm used to it. I make detailed instructions, and the students
Lisa
ask
on
me
paper.
to tell
That's
them.
what that is. For
Yeah.
brain.
So I'll make
Great.
a video on
Have a
how
video.
to apply
Great.
and suggestions and family friendly.
Yes, very good. Jill, any last comments from you?
Yeah, I'll just say that this, you know, one, I feel that this obviously has been a blessing for me and experience for me, but anyone that is watching this and is considering, you know, a lot of times in our careers, we have a tendency not to take a chance, not to take a risk, not to put ourselves out there thinking that, you know, either we're not good enough or we don't have time or this, that, and the other thing. You never know what can happen. I know you'll hear in most of these packages that they just went for it. They were like, well, we don't really know what this is, but we're going to go for it. And then it changed their lives. It did change their lives for the better. And so I'm telling you, whether you're just beginning, whether you're in the middle and you know, obviously you have to qualify, go for it. Life is short. The pandemic has taught us that for sure. And go for it. Be a part of something that really could create some beauty. And we'll be here for you.
Amen.
So there you go.
Okay, I'm going to bounce off of Jill because now I have more things that popped
There you
into
go.
my head. Send in that video. Send in that video, even if you're just like, I don't know, because you know what? And because I get to do most of the screening, and then I send videos to other people to help me with the screening process. I hear a lot of videos where I'm just like, I'm not sure that person's going to get into the competition, but I hear so much potential there, and I really want them to get to the live auditions so that I can put them in front of the mentors to give you that 5-10 minutes of little mentoring that happens during the live auditions to take you to the next step. Because I've had people come back, they'll come back year after year, and they get better every single year. Even if you're just like, there's no way I'm getting on into the semifinals, send your video in anyways. You know, I spend my days listening to potential in my students and wanting to pull it out. So if I'm just like, I might hear that in you and say, you know what? I really want to put them in front of Nadir and Jill at live auditions so that they can hear from somebody in the industry something that might help them go to the next step, and then eventually become a semifinalist. And even if they don't get into, they don't win the competition, there's some massive moments there that I still go back to our first year. Ben Will, he had, so with the required song, I have a required song, say, okay, make it yours, go with it. His rendition of Michigan, My Michigan is still my favorite arrangement.
We all remember
anybody has come up with any variation. I mean, there's been some awesome things, but that was just amazing. And then Stuart, our you know, person, he's been a semifinalist, I think 5 of the 6 years. And then stuff just worked out, but we called him back as a judge. I said, you know what, you've gone through this process, you know what they're going to need. And then we also pulled back Reedy and Allison and said, come be judges during finals.
They love it.
You know,
Yeah, Reedy was so excited about that. She loved it. Yeah.
Awesome. And the feedback, this is going back to the teacher. I'm just like, this is gold, because I type up all the feedback from all the judges afterwards. And you want the feedback, send me an email, and I send them the feedback from the judges, just because it's always about growth. So
Yes.
as
Yes.
much as possible, you know, all stages, no matter where you are, I second what Jill said, apply. You know what? We want to try to reach as many people as possible, and you have a dream, you know, just take a chance.
Amen. Nadir, you get the last word. Well, I get the last word, but you get almost the last word.
Get the second to last word. I would say again that the Michigan State Fair Superstar Competition is all about helping Michigan artists move to the next level of whatever your level is. And I think that is the thing. Is again, it's been said, growth and learning how to be better and to do better, so that you can make yourself, your artistic business, your craft, your artistry, your music the best that it can be. And that's why we're here. That's what we help you with from the very beginning of the audition process all the way through to when you're up on the stage performing and handing the baton to the new winner after you've had your year winning. And the whole thing is about the fact that we love this state. We love the people of this state. We love music. We love artistry, and we do our best to help you and to help each other to grow and be better.